Cover 3 Tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Kanell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe. Smash that like and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where Joel and Raymond and Talladega Junkie and Kasey and Ryan and Jerry all have great questions that we will be including in today's mailbag episode. Additionally, we've got some from the big old bag of mail, some leftovers from yesterday, and a little bit of fun with the topic that we've been discussing and hitting around here with the best players who did not go to the NFL draft and could have gone to the NFL draft. Bud's actually put together a full run it back all-stars team. But I'm going to begin with just a real simple one to get us going here on a listener interaction Thursday. Jerry said, and this with National Signing Day on Wednesday, and we discussed that on Monday and Wednesday as well. But Jerry says, has high school recruiting changed due to the portal? Does Arch Manning get the same attention in 2026 as he got 4 years ago?
Yes and yes.
Because it's Arch Manning?
He would get it in 2036 and 2046 and 2056 when we're probably talking about, Archibald Manning, who in 2046. The last name does carry a ton of attention. So, yes.
But I do not think Keyshawn Henderson in this class got that kind of attention.
Yeah, and I think part of it is he went to Houston early and didn't really waver, at least not publicly. And Houston's not a fan base that is going to drive traffic,
Right.
Like Jared Curtis got a lot more coverage because obviously he flipped from UGA to Vandy.
Bryce Underwood, because it was an LSU to Michigan.
Right.
Got a lot of buzz.
Because the Larry Ellison thing, obviously.
I don't know what you're talking about. So we will always be treating our top quarterbacks as such. Even as the value of a National Signing Day, even as high school recruiting has changed, the thought is if you are the alpha or if you are the top dog in the class, like if his name is Arch Miller, because of who he was as a prospect, the schools that were involved, we think we're always going to be talking about the top quarterbacks that way.
Yeah, and look, I think schools know the deal, and increasingly fans probably know the deal. Like if you are a top 20 rated quarterback, you got about a 30% chance of never actually being a P5 starter. You also got like a 15 or 18% chance of making 15 million plus in your career and giving the team that signed you a really fat 3-year window to go do something special, which is why they go do it, right? I mean, for the most part, even if you hit on like what's your average expected playing time for one of these top portal QBs? Year and a half?
Yeah.
Almost nobody's getting 3. So it's like a year or maybe 2 years. So that's why you still keep recruiting these guys out of high school. You know the potential bust factor. But like very few of these guys are like serious busts, like if you define bust as like never becoming a P5 starter, but like, if you stick around and you're like a really high end backup, obviously they're not going to keep paying you the same rate. But I was looking at this the other day. You were actually more likely to end up as a G5 backup than you are a G5 starter if you're a top 20 quarterback. Basically meaning like if you bust, like the bust, it's almost never physical. It's like something mental, right? Either like laziness, in many cases, actually like serious mental health stuff or criminal stuff that crops up that, obviously if there was serious criminal stuff that you knew about, the kid wouldn't be in the top 20 coming out of high school. So like it was stuff that's unforeseen or had not yet occurred, I guess. I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Like I would not have expected that, but I was kind of just playing around with some model stuff.
Well, all right. So Rashada started for Arizona State. So you would say that, he had a time, even as he's continued to kind of work his way down the ladder. Malachi Nelson still, I mean, he was the UTEP starter.
Isn't he at UTEP?
No, he's committed to Syracuse.
No, he's Syracuse now.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I still think that's Steve Angeli.
Better be.
Yeah. Fran Brown says he's, quote, dominating rehab. He won't do any live reps in spring practice. Yeah, won't do any live reps in spring practice, but should be good to go by the summer. So my thought there is Malachi Nelson, I guess to your point, he's going to go be a backup at Syracuse. He's going to be a P5 backup, a P4 backup, but still just a backup.
Syracuse is making sure they're not in a situation next year if Steve Angeli gets hurt that they were in this year where they were, I don't even remember the kids that they were starting in his place.
The fourth stringer former lacrosse player did not field a dynamic downfield passing attack by the time they went to him late in the year. Yes. They also took Amari Odom, Conference USA championship winning quarterback Amari Odom from Kennesaw State.
There you go.
So to your point, Fran Brown's going to learn some lessons from this past season. Going to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I haven't looked at their schedule yet, but like they were definitely super, super duper lucky in 24, both in terms of like ball bounces and in terms of like the schedule being an absolute cakewalk. And then remember, like they totally flipped on him. It's like, hey, unlucky as far as injuries. Also preseason, we knew the schedule was going to be really hard, and it was.
But maybe
they'll balance out a little bit.
They beat Clemson. They lost by double digits, but were competitive against Tennessee in the opener. It's just after Angeli, the offense just didn't. They did not score more than 18 points over the final 7 games of the season in a 7-game losing streak.
I thought Tennessee like dog walked them.
It's 45-26.
Didn't we bet first half in this? And it was like we cruised.
Maybe for the first.
I gotta like my memory on this is like that was garbage time points. I'm sorry.
Sure, but I mean, that still means you were competitive against an SEC opponent.
Yeah, I mean, right. They didn't lose by 50.
Yeah, they didn't go out there and just totally lay an egg and look non.
Anyway. Oh, it was 17-0 first quarter. Okay, that's what I remember thinking. Like, all right, this is a walk.
Right. Okay, let's jump into it. We have been talking loosely, especially around the NFL draft deadline, especially as teams are starting to get their roster set for 2026. Like, oh man, what would an all-star team look like of all the players who came back? Bud, you have referenced often the number of early entries that we had, even 5, 6, 7 years ago versus what we have now. It's almost been cut in half. And how good that is for college football and the stars that we have. You took some time, you got in the lab, you crunched the numbers and the data, and you've put together a full run it back all-stars team. So I'll let you sort of walk us through this. I know we got graphics and everything. I'm fired up. I hope you're watching on youtube.com/cover3. We'll guide you through this now.
Yeah. Mikey, let's roll the offense first. So like we know that the number of underclassmen who are declaring for the draft has been cut more than in half over the past couple of years due to NIL, the portal, et cetera. I think that's actually a really good thing, both for the sport and the players. We could talk about all the negative stuff, guys being able to go to the NBA and come back, which I think is a little insane, to be honest. But this does allow guys to not make bad long-term decisions based on really short-term need for their families, And I think there are a lot of examples of that. We used to write about this as agents. People are like, oh, this guy's a dumbass for going pro. I'm like, if his mom's getting evicted, if he can stick on a practice squad, that really changes his family's life. Now it's like, hey, I can actually get a degree and I can make some real money. And if I'm smart with it, I'm actually really set, for quite a while, assuming I go out and get a decent job if the NFL doesn't work out. But I mean, this is the national championship team favorite by a ton. I don't know what this roster would cost, but like no team would be like no college team would be competitive with this team, like in any way, shape, or form. So for our listeners at home, quarterbacks, take your pick: Arch Manning or Dante Moore. Running backs: Justin Hayes and Mark Fletcher. Receivers: Deuce Robinson, Trey Richardson, Eric Singleton. Tight end: Jamari Johnson. Actually, a lot of good tight ends came back. So really, that was a hard pick right there. Offensive line: Carter Smith, Trevor Goosby, Caden Green, Bruce Mitchell, the BYU center, Austin Sarareld from Ohio State, and PJ Williams from SMU.
Is this the best offense in the country?
By far.
Yeah.
Okay. I would take Ohio State's wide receivers.
Well, they are losing Carnell Tate. They are losing Max Clare. I mean, they do have Jeremiah Smith, and they'll still be good there. But I don't know. I mean, between Robinson, Richardson, and Singleton, I feel like you've got a pretty good trio.
Yeah.
I mean, if 10 or 11 players in your starting offense are top 100 picks.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
Like,
you could also
do,
run a
do
lot of
Arch and
protections
Dante
with
alternate
this.
series.
Yeah, like I don't know. You're not going to be able to pressure this very much without blitzing, and Arch and Dante will both hit one of these three guys who are open. Like if you're, I would think.
well, the offensive line is bananas. Like that's true.
Yeah.
No one is getting into the backfield against this one. Also, a fun little note here. You're not Jamal Haynes is out of eligibility. Justice Haynes, no relation, is transferring in from Michigan. So that's a big pickup for Georgia Tech as they reload. That's why you see Justice Haynes there. A couple other transfers there, including Eric Singleton. That might have flown under the radar for some. He is now going to be, after Georgia Tech and Auburn, he is a huge part of the outlook for that Florida offense as well. So a few other transfers here. But yeah, Justice Haynes, not Jamal Haynes, either way, outstanding back. And when you combine him with Mark Fletcher, that's pretty dynamic.
I think this offense is 25 million alone.
Did you just run the math on that?
Yeah. Just based on what I either have heard these guys are making or like what I know similar players make.
How much of that 25 is tied up in your quarterback spot? Because that feels like
I just got it for one quarterback.
Okay.
I think if you want to carry these two QBs, then make it 31.
That's bad cap management.
Yeah.
Ryan, our friend Ryan, points this one out. Only 4 from the SEC. Anything to read into there?
Could have swapped in Lance Hurd, the tackle who went from Tennessee to Kentucky. I guess if you want to. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I'm reading into that too much necessarily.
I mean, Gooseby and Green, those guys are going to be like all preseason All-Americans. So
yeah,
from the SEC.
Outside of the two quarterbacks, who do you think would have been first rounders? Anybody? And that's probably why they came back.
Good call.
Maybe some guys who I don't think Gooseby, because this is a fairly good tackle draft from what I've been listening to. If Deuce had run an insane time, like I know his dad thinks he will, maybe back half of the first round with the size, but he would have needed to really rip one off at the combine.
Right. And I do think that's sort of the line that you look for what makes sense to come back at collegiate numbers versus bouncing for the NFL. And the quarterbacks are so skewed because they're making so much money. But both Arch and Dante would have made more as first rounders. But I think for everybody else, I think that's kind of the simple equation. If I'm a first rounder, I'm going. If I'm a second rounder, which is great for college football, I'm a second rounder, I'm going to come back, squeeze out one more year of guaranteed money before I either try to be a first rounder or go in the same position. And you take the risk that you drop some.
And also of this list, only 1, 2, 3, only 3 transferred this offseason.
From the offense side.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
I actually feel like the tackles would have had the best chance to be drafted in the first round.
I mean, Texas wanted PJ for sure.
Because I mean, like outside of Maui Noah, Fano, Proctor, I don't know how many surefire first round picks there are at tackle in this class. I mean, there will be because teams are going to draft tackles. So it's like, I would say of those guys, the tackles like Gooseby, I do wonder if they had entered the draft, if they might have been able to get into the first.
Yep. Should be interesting. You want to take us to the defensive side?
Yeah, let's hit defense here.
Whoa.
Yeah. By the way, well, I'll say this in a second. Sorry, so let's read this off here for the listeners at home, and then we'll get into the discussion. All right, edge players. Damon Wilson, obviously transferring from Missouri to Miami, and then Young Concrete, Mateo Uiagalelei, DJ's little brother. He came back. On interior defensive linemen, I really almost went 2 Oregon guys with Amari and Bear, but I think AJ Holmes is really good for Texas Tech. Also, Ahmad Moten. So you could have had this like 5-man D-line group be 3 Oregon, 2 Miami. And like after putting this together, it really made me think, shit, like does Oregon have the top quarterback prospect in the draft? And like up all these, this feels a little Ohio State-y, right? Like how they got that thing to run back 2 years ago.
Right.
All right. So linebacker was kind of slim pickings, honestly. Rasheem Biles, who transfers from Pitt to Texas, and then Kip Lewis, the Oklahoma backer. Corner's okay, I think. Javion Cole and Jamari Sharp. Obviously, the guy made some nice plays for Indiana down the stretch. Kelly Jones, obviously a good player. Bray Hubbard, I think highest rated safety on PFF. And then Brendan Jordan, dude makes a lot of plays, obviously Texas Tech there. So this is an insanely good defense too. Like I think you can argue maybe somebody could field a better defense than this. Like I think the offense is kind of unquestioned just given the O-line.
Right.
But this is like, yeah, this is a crazy good defense. And like I think this makes our sport so much better.
Secondary, our weakest point here?
Probably or backer, I guess.
But with that defensive line, who the hell cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
We've got Damon Wilson, Mateo, Amari Washington, and AJ Holmes.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else was on the defensive side? Who else did you look at in terms of thinking about adding, or what was the debate?
Shoot. Defense was actually kind of harder. And I wonder if that's because offensive skill in this year's class and quarterbacks lack. So one of those guys was like, hey, like because of the lack of offense in this draft, defense might get pushed up, you know? There's a couple guys I was like, all right, he's got to be back. And then they left. And so I found myself like paring this down a lot more on defense than I thought I had to. But like, I think it's still a really good look. I'm a little surprised I didn't have any Georgia guys on here, to be honest. Like that's something, I know they were young, but maybe the fact that there's very few of any draft eligible guys who Georgia retained speaks to how young that defense truly was last year.
Because KJ was a sophomore, like a true sophomore, right?
That's what I have him as. The chat's telling me he should be on here, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think he's going to his true junior year, which means he's not eligible for this list.
Right. That's what that's what I had on the top of my mind too. But yeah,
so basically, like I looked and I just filtered by snap count and then high school class year, and then tried to like also filter by age to make sure I wasn't missing anybody, and then went through and crossed off everybody who declared early, and then I texted Mike Renner and I was like, hey, is there anybody who has a master list of everybody who's actually in the draft? And he's like, no, that's what makes this stuff such a pain in the butt. I was like, okay. So then I asked Jim and I to cross-reference all these names with any news articles in the past like 2-3 weeks with, and then I walked away for a little bit and it came back and then it didn't actually work. So then I used GPT and that actually did work. Yeah, it was probably just too big of an ask because there's like a lot of guys who played a certain number of snaps.
Right. Also in college football, and I don't think this happened with this group, but we do have players with the same name.
Yes.
So, like college football is I see you shaking your head, but college football casts a wide enough net that you will have players, a safety at Boise, might very well might have the exact same first and last name. And I don't know if the robots have figured that out quite yet.
Xavier McLeod for Georgia. That's not a bad one right there. Yeah.
So would
Jackson
you think
Jr.
Georgia,
the defensive end at Ohio State? I don't think he's the level of the two guys I had on the list, but like he'd be on the second team, I think.
Would you take Georgia's defense over this defense?
No, because I think the D-line sets us apart.
Mm-hmm.
Tom, Danny, agree?
Yeah.
When we're thinking just off the top of your head, when you're trying to think about who would come to mind as the defenses that you would at least check or put into that conversation for next season?
I still think Oklahoma's going to be good.
Uh-huh.
I still think Texas is going to be good.
Notre Dame?
Notre Dame will be good.
Yeah. I don't know if Notre Dame, and this pissed off Irish fans last time we talked about this. I don't know if they have like enough freaks up front to where I would take them over this defense, but I think they'll be in the conversation for one of the better ones in the country for sure.
think Notre Dame has a better secondary than this defense.
I agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is, again, I think the big headline takeaway here, as we've been able to sort of loosely touch on and then really drive home, is that college football just continues to see the high-end talent improve. Well, there are a lot of headaches that have come with the way that roster construction and NIL and transfer portal, it has created a lot of headaches for a lot of people, but the sport as a whole just continues to be able to be a lot better at the top when you've got guys like this that otherwise, as you mentioned, Bud, are not headed off, to the NFL a little bit early.
Quantrell in the chat actually makes a really good point that this may be a different question at the end of the year.
For Notre
some
Dame,
of these young guys Georgia signed are really high upside guys. I don't know if they're going to be that on August 30th, but come January, let's find out.
Hey, don't forget, speaking of calendar, August 30th is week 0 because we've got a September 5th starting point.
And there's 15 days at one point between the quarters and the semis.
We love it.
Yep.
Get out your sundials. We're reworking the calendar, baby.
Ridiculous.
Let's go. All right.
Selfishly, I don't hate that because you can actually go cover Under Armour and the Navy Bowl.
That is incredibly selfish for you. That is not.
That is 0% of people care about that. But personally, that actually is helpful.
But I took the selfish angle the other day. I was like, I love talking about college football all the way till almost February. We get to talk about games. I took it from that angle too.
We're talking about college football right now, Danny.
Yeah, we talk college football year round, guys.
That is true.
That's right. And subscribe to the Cover 3 podcast, where we'll keep you locked and loaded, all from National Signing Day, the national championship game, and everything in between. And coming up on the other side, what is there a fan base that has unrealistic expectations for the 2026 season? All that and more next.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. Yesterday, saw a comment from our friend Henry in the tailgate, grabbed it so that we could bring it into this show for a little bit more of an expansive conversation. Henry said, is there a fan base that has very unrealistic expectations for the upcoming year? Then Henry adds, as an Ole Miss fan, I am scared of the new, quote, standard of the program and how a great historic team might be, quote, disappointing. So if you want to address the Ole Miss side of this, that is obviously fine. But I'm also curious, as we cast a wider net, is there a fan base that you think is going into 2026 with unrealistic expectations?
On the Ole Miss point, before we pivot off to other nominations, that's a hard schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're favored over Louisville to open the year.
And they spent 2 years getting the easy draw because the SEC ran back the same opponents in 2024 and 2025.
Right.
You did not cash it in all the way in 2024 because of the losses to Florida and Kentucky. You did cash it in, and a credit to Ole Miss for that. But it's time to pay the piper on the schedule rotation.
Going to the Swamp the week after you have that emotional, huge game hosting LSU in Oxford, when Florida still has some athletes, we'll see how the quarterback works out. That's not easy. And then you got to have a couple in a row where, do I think Vandy's going to be as good this year as they were last year? No, I don't. But I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff necessarily. And then Missouri should still be a decent football team. Those two, you kind of have to show up for, or you could lose. And then you have to go to Texas, and then Auburn, and then Georgia, and then at Oklahoma. That at Vandy, Missouri, at Texas, host Auburn, host Georgia, at Oklahoma with no buys is a pretty hard 6-game stretch.
And based on the success, coming from Henry's question, if they go 7-5, they're going to feel like it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And another factor to consider with Ole Miss, and this is something that we should consider with a lot of teams every year, they went 6-2 in 1-score games. So they were in a lot of close games, and they won the overwhelming majority of them. but they only won them by an average of 2.8 points per game. So
do you know who? But do you know who went 1-5 in one-score games?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
The Florida State Seminoles.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I thought we were 0-4.
I listen. We'll fact check it. All I see is just a trend, this is just a trend arrow pointing up in Tallahassee.
Florida State was
Let's go.
Totally agree.
You know who went 1-5? This is who I thought you were talking about. Penn State.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Auburn was 0-6.
So
was Arkansas.
Well, all right. So Auburn's record, I think, was user error. Arkansas might have been more structural and functional. I could see one of those flipping just a little bit more. We included this in the headline before the show, and so it's very interesting that one thing that has come up a lot. So where's Joey? Joey said Indiana's fan base will become delusional. Sincerely, an IU alum. Ryan also added, will Indiana fans have unrealistic expectations?
Ooh,
I don't
think so.
Yeah.
What are the expectations for Indiana fans?
I don't think they're thinking we're going to repeat. I think that's the only thing that would be unrealistic. I think they should expect to compete for the Big Ten championship, and I think they will. I don't think that's unrealistic.
I mean, if you look at Indiana's schedule, I'll read it for you. It's very, very tough. North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky to open the year non-conference. So another typical
dodging the ACC. Cowards.
Another real just a minefield of non-conference components. They open at home with Northwestern and Big Ten, and then they're on the road for Rutgers and Nebraska. And then it gets tough. They've got Ohio State coming to Bloomington, and the week after that, they're on the road for Michigan. Then they get Minnesota at home. Then they finally get a bye. So they've got to play a lot of games without a bye. So that could be a problem for them if they start getting banged up. After the bye, they've got USC at home. Then they're on the road for Washington. Then they're Purdue. That's a 9-3 schedule to me as a realistic expectation. I would bet that their win total is going to be somewhere in that 8.5, 9.5 range.
I think that they are a top-tier Big Ten team. It is a realistic expectation to compete for the Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are disappointed if you lose your key games against other Big Ten title contenders and thus don't make it back to Indianapolis. But I don't think it's delusional at all. Looking at the roster and looking at the rest of the Big Ten, I just don't have that many teams I'm ready to slot ahead of the Indiana Hoosiers, even throw in all of the Kurt Signetti magic that you want to, in terms of your X factor. But I don't think it's ridiculous. Repeating as 16-0 national championships, yes, unrealistic. But being a playoff team, Big Ten title contender is realistic.
I mean, their expectation in their first three and their final three is 6-0 or 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think Michigan State has particularly crushed the portal, to be honest. So I'm not really expecting Fitz to hit the ground running there. Nebraska, I guess we'll see at Rutgers. That's a game I now expect Indiana to win, even though it's on the road. This Oregon at UCLA, Northwestern at Iowa, at Ohio State, and I'm reading off Penn State's schedule. Sorry.
I was going to say, I don't see them playing.
I was
Michigan
how is
State.
this? Yeah, I fat fingered this. Sorry, guys.
And that one was on the BudBot server.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a couple, but I don't know. And my instant thought was Kirk Signetti just made life a lot harder on new coaches who are expected to turn things around right away. I thought of Will Stein at Kentucky because I think there's a lot of enthusiasm around that hire. You bring in Kenny Minchie. They've spent on a class that's top, I think it's 11 or 12 in the country. There's a ton of excitement. But if you look at their schedule, and I'm sure we would have done this again, this is where you kind of talk yourself into it. We probably did this with Indiana when we didn't even really pay attention because their schedule was pretty tough. And we looked at some of those early ones and that's a loss. But they play Bama and Texas A&M in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And it doesn't get any easier from them. I like Will Stein. I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And this is where I don't know if the fan base has unrealistic expectations, but I think like making a bowl game this year would be a great season for Will Stein. And I don't know if Kentucky fans are going to have that same thought process going into this season.
Is there more focus on Will Stein and what he's going to do because Kentucky basketball is kind of maybe not crushing this year?
No, I think it's not a media creation, but I do just think there's a lot of people that are enthused by the new blood after that long Mark Stoops tenure, the success in the portal cycle. And, Kenny Minchie, yes, but to your point, Danny, a lot of portal additions that I think everybody on the outside was like nodding, like, oh, okay, I like that. And just the fact that after your results had kind of dropped off a cliff, to see it start to turn around, you're just going to be real quick to buy in. I don't know if the closest to the program. I mean, Kentucky fans are not pivoting off of the way paying attention to basketball right now because of a top 12 portal class. I mean, we'll see as things get going. And I like that they have early season tests so we can see where they're at. But I think that you're just seeing that a program that had seen a drop off, a tenure that had become stale, it just gets some new spark. And so people just rush to it. And they're like, these look like smart decisions. But the problem is there's only but so many wins in a conference, like who to your point, look at the schedule. Who's losing to Kentucky to allow for this big jump up for Kentucky?
Right.
Yeah. Like you might have needed those portal additions just to avoid the disastrous first season.
Because of what you had left over. Okay, who else do we want to add to the conversation?
I don't know what their expectations truly are, but knowing based on what kind of season they just had and where you're seeing them in like the way too early top 25s, Texas A&M. I think that you lose Colin Klein. Obviously, he is left for Kansas State, and I think he was a big part of that offense. But I also think, and we saw last year, your schedule played a pretty decent role in some of your results. We saw it when they had to face tougher teams at the end of the year. They came up short. And you look at, again, I'll go back to records in one-score games. They were 4-1. They played in 5 of them. And you look at their schedule. They got Arizona State coming to Texas A&M and non-con. We'll see what Arizona State looks like. The Kentucky team Danny just mentioned. You're at LSU. You're going on the road for Missouri. You're going on the road for Alabama. You're going on the road for South Carolina. You're going on the road for Oklahoma. And then you also have home games against Tennessee and Texas. So, like, your November is at South Carolina, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, Texas. That's a tough stretch.
A lot of players lost off that team, too.
Yeah, and you lose a lot of people from your team, especially like on defense. But you also lose Concepcion at receiver.
So I'll give you a team that would have had a lot of players on the preseason run it back team for this year. It didn't have any on it for this coming year, and that's Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
At LSU, at Cal, host Miami, host Virginia Tech, at FSU, at Cuse, host Georgia Tech, at Duke, South Carolina. They also face UNC.
But I don't think Clemson's
I think that's a bowl team, but I don't know that's a bowl team.
I don't think they're a top 4 team in the ACC.
Well, so I have 11 of the preseason top 25 polls. Athletic, Athlon, Bleacher, CBS, ESPN, Fox, On3, PFF, Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, USA Today, and Yahoo. They're only ranked in 2 of the top 25 polls.
I don't think they should be in any of them.
I agree.
Right.
It's going to be a young team. They've still recruited well, but it's just you're asking that new blood to be able to come in and reverse what's been 2 to 3 seasons of underperformance.
And this is where I'd like to truth serum the other Clemson coaches and be like, all right, Vizina, is this a Dabo loyalty, you waited your turn thing, or do y'all actually think he can play? Because I did not love him as a recruit, and in the one spring game we got to watch also was not blown away. So maybe they've seen a lot in practice to where they decided to go with him. I'm guessing he's at least okay at practice because, even the loyalty thing from Dabo, you wouldn't – if he's awful in practice, I don't think you just do the loyalty thing and do that to the right. Like you have some duty to the other guys in your team to at least field a competitive quarterback.
Yeah.
But like, how much better is he now than he was as a recruit, or in what we saw in that spring game? I don't know.
Let's see. John in the tailgate says Louisville thinks they're playoff contenders.
They should.
They might be in the ACC.
Yeah.
How
much did they spend on that receiver? How much they spend on that receiver room?
Well,
like $4 million.
You're rebooting quarterback again. You get Isaac Brown back. Remember, there was that, is Isaac Brown going to jump in the portal? Nagged by injuries through the season. Full. If he can get fully healthy and back to where he was as a promising freshman, yeah, they needed, with all the production that was gone at wide receiver, or that was leaving at wide receiver, to be able to reload. I think Louisville, sure. I guess Louisville's a playoff contender because Louisville's in the ACC championship conversation,
and because they're favored in all 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, like, I think they're favored over Ole Miss slightly, like not by more than a field goal, I wouldn't think, but I think they're a little bit better team than Ole Miss is. Villanova, SMU at home, Wake at home, at NC State, FSU at home on a Friday night, at Cuse, Stanford, at Georgia Tech, at North Carolina, host Pitt, at Kentucky.
Jesus Christ.
Like, right. Like, this is not a
Put 'em in.
cakewalk, but like, I think it's
Lock it up.
If they beat Ole Miss, are they going undefeated?
This is what I'm saying. Yeah,
No.
like I think there is a chance that Louisville's favored in all 12 games.
But that might be fine. But this Louisville team is 0-2 against Cal in the last 2 seasons. Okay, they are capable of doing wondrous things on the football field.
I mean, a lot of this does depend on Lincoln Keenholz. We don't know who he is yet. So, but still, I have a certain amount of faith in a Jeff Brom quarterback to be able to keep things going. And you just look at the schedule. My God.
I was so disappointed with Miller Moss this season.
What are the odds they get to the ACC championship game?
High.
Like more than 50-50?
What they are? Let's see what do you think we have them listed yet?
I did not see conference title odds yet.
Not appearance, maybe conference winner.
Yeah.
I think SMU with Kevin Jennings back and what they were able to retain is going to be right there in that conversation. Louisville, it's who joins Miami, in my opinion. So you don't get to 4 without mentioning Louisville, but I don't think it's a shoe-in.
What do you think Michigan's expectations are? Their fan base?
Ooh, good question.
Slightly high.
Because I think they might be a little unrealistic too. I think if they think we're going to compete for the Big Ten again, I think they can compete for a playoff spot. But, I mean, I'm not sold on Bryce Underwood. And I love the Kyle Whittingham hire. I think it was the best option available. But I also just wonder where he is. I mean, he was ready to ride off in the sunset and retire. I think he'll be enthusiastic coming in there. But the schedule's not that easy. They do have Oklahoma early coming to town. It will not be an easy out. They could win that game, but the rest of the schedule is not. I mean, they have Iowa at home in that first 5 weeks, Penn State at home, Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. Like, they do play a lot of the better teams. Like, I think I think the fans are probably thinking 10 or 2 or better, and I'm leaning 9 or 3 or lower.
If I remember off the top of my head, we just mentioned it with Indiana, but I want to say it's like Indiana, Penn State, and Oregon all have Ohio State and Michigan in back-to-back weeks. There's multiple notable Big Ten teams that have to play both of those rivals in back-to-back weeks.
That's your no undefeated, right?
Because no team will go undefeated. That's right, Danny. Can Michigan nab either a look ahead or a hangover spot from one of those teams to log a big win that could swing a 9-3 to a 10-2? I mean, perhaps change their postseason outlook.
You're getting Oklahoma in September at home, but you're getting Oklahoma, who should be a pretty good team again. Iowa comes to town in September. I don't know what Iowa's going to look like next year, honestly. But then you get your bye, and then off of your bye, you're playing Penn State, Indiana in back-to-back weeks. And then you get to Rutgers, Michigan State, but then you have to go on the road in November to Oregon, and then you come home for UCLA, and then the week after that, you're on the road for Ohio State again. Like, that's going to be a tough schedule to go 9-3 against. You're literally facing Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State within a month time.
Yep.
The only counter to this is that I think where you get your two toughest games, being that they're both on the road, I think if you flipped Oregon and Ohio State and they were both in Ann Arbor, I still think you're losing both those games. So like, if you have to play them and you're trying to go 10-2, I think it's easier to go 10-2 like this because you get the slightly more winnable home games, Oklahoma, Iowa, Indiana, Penn State at home.
Other quick ones.
What do we
Go ahead.
What do we think of LSU? Are they a little too high on the lane in the portal right now?
I think LSU is a playoff team, and I think if they're not a playoff team, then it's a massive disappointment. As long as the expectation is make the playoff, then I think that's realistic.
Yeah, because I was worried at first when their class was coming in that they were getting all, like, they got the quarterback, they were getting all the skill position guys, but they still hadn't really addressed the offensive line, and that was their problem last year. But then they bring in Seton. They got who's the guard that they brought in? They brought in a guard.
A guard
from Ole Miss. He was at Ole Miss last year.
Oh, I know you're talking about. But
anyways, they have addressed the offensive line. So I do think that there is reason. I mean, LSU fans might be screaming national title, and there might be a little out of whatever there, but I do think that LSU's got a pretty high floor next year.
Yeah, and when you've got Longstreet as your Levitt insurance,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be you're going to be able to help out with that. Quantrell, Nebraska has had unrealistic expectations since 1995. If I was to cut through it, I don't think they've got unrealistic expectations.
They don't have unrealistic. They're focused on basketball right now. That's where their unrealistic expectations are.
The idea that Rink Mast is going to lead them to a Final Four appearance.
Yeah.
If LSU does not make the playoff, is there any team that is close that has not made the playoff in the last 5 years as far as like amount of talent wasted?
No.
Like who would even be in the conversation for second place here?
That hasn't made the playoff?
In the last 5 years, yeah.
When was the last time FSU made the playoffs?
2014.
14. And I still don't think they compare to the LSU level.
Yeah, no,
They're not a talent wasted in the last 5 years. Not even close.
I'm trying to think. Just thinking of like teams. USC. If USC misses,
Florida.
I
would still take LSU in the debate.
Yeah.
But I think that Florida is.
But I think these are the only other teams you could.
Yeah. LSU, Florida, and USC. Florida still searching for its first college football playoff appearance at all. Same with USC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep it rocking. And actually, gotta hit a break. Coming up on the other side, don't know how many Mr. Beast fans we got out there, but ECU football sure would like to open their doors and welcome in the celebrity. We'll explain all that and more next.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. So there has, in this modern world, there is the dream of the billionaire coming in to just, it is the Cody Campbell, right? I mean, is it fair to say Cody Campbell sort of our touchstone here in terms of a reference? Mm-hmm. A single billionaire who could stroke a check and change your program's football outlook. And the very popular YouTuber, Mr. Beast, valued in multiple billions of dollars. He's a Greenville, North Carolina resident. And it's always sort of been tossed around ECU football that, we just need Mr. Beast to come in. Then a repost on Instagram from Mr. Beast himself teases, should he spend $100 million backing ECU football in pursuit of a national championship? Now, I thought this was going to be a continuation of just the fun what if until a couple other things hit my desk. Reports of potential meetings set to take place between the East Carolina University administration and one Mr. Beast. And then also, I don't know if you caught this yesterday at his National Signing Day press conference, UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor, Jeff Traylor's been on the forefront of like, listen, y'all, we just need somebody coming here and cut a check. Like he is out there on Front Street, kind of the way that our good friend Kenny Dillingham did a little while back. If you're a billionaire in the area, you can come and change this. And Jeff Traylor said, sounds like ECU's already on top of it. But yeah, if you want to come, we'll open up our doors 24/7, 365 access. You can do a reality show, anything you want.
Now, is Mr. Beast his government name?
I don't like. Did he legally change his name?
I don't know. Is his last
I'm pretty
name
sure he
Beast?
wasn't bored. Yeah.
Do you think $100 million from Mr. Beast would change ECU? Obviously, it would change ECU football, but this would be one of the biggest stories of the year, right?
It would be the story of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you think LSU is paying between 36 and 41 million for its roster this year, that's the range that I would bet. You're talking like 2.5x that for a team in the American Conference.
Would anyone step in the? Is it possible for anybody to step in the way here? Because here's the other piece. Because
no. You know how the story goes nuts, Chip?
How?
Go back, rewind about 50 minutes in this show and said, hey, who's going to be the team to pluck a bunch of guys off NFL practice squad rosters? They don't wait till the 2027 season. They do it right now. And you go get a bunch of guys who are not on the 52 mans of the NFL, and then you build the best team in college football.
Okay. So
then this is like not only the story of the year, it's the story of the decade in college football.
Yeah, of the era.
Yes.
Yeah, of this era.
Yes.
Nothing would distill how insane things have gotten than if Mr. Beast went out. And by the way, I don't know if you checked out any of his content, but like this would be in line of like, I'm going to go get 75 practice squatters, replace ECU's entire football team, and we're going to go win the national championship.
This
I've got another
would
level
also.
we can add
Sorry,
to
Tom.
this. All right. Mr. Beast puts $100 million into East Carolina's roster, including players from the NFL. But then he hires Ryan Silverfield. Will that team win the American?
Ryan Silverfield had a spending advantage for like 6 years in the American.
That's the challenge.
My friend, hey,
Look, who knows that Ryan Silverfield can't win in the underdog role? Like we knew he didn't win when he had the massive resources edge. I mean, he won some games, but didn't actually win the league. Maybe he's like secretly an underdog coach.
Maybe.
I thought he actually made a really good GM hire, by the way. Like Crowley, who they hired, was at Exos for Midwest. I thought they're sharp there. And then he was at Central Michigan, and they had a lot of guys like that they found portal out, and then he did a pretty good job at Arizona. Like that's a good GM hire for Arkansas. Like, so you take this totally off script, but like you can't you kind of need like in like the Goliath or David strategy. Like Arkansas is more by SEC standards like a David school. You need to kind of think outside the box a little bit. So I like that fit there.
The full outside the box, to your point, Bud, is to basically build a G League team.
Yeah.
To go out there and to get professionals.
The Chicago
Come back
Bulls
to college.
model.
75 temporary restraining orders filed in Pitt County, North Carolina, to allow a professional team to take the field in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium in Greenville to go out there and win a national championship.
This is how you get congressional action, by the way, because do you know who would absolutely hate this in addition to like every P5 school in the country?
The president?
All 32 NFL teams.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd be like, we got a good thing going here where we get to pay these practice squad players not very much, right? We don't really love y'all paying these guys 5x what they make on the practice squad.
Yeah. If it came together, it would lead to the most anticipated portal window too. Like, so we joke about putting it together for 2026, but if we found out about the commitment, and maybe it does start with some facilities, right? Maybe it does start with staffing. Maybe it like, sorry, Coach Harrell, you better coach your ass off this fall because we can go shopping for somebody else. But then when the portal opens, to think that ECU is just sitting out there with a Mr. Beast bankroll.
I assume Mr. Beast would coach the team, right?
Oh, for the content.
For the content, and also if you got $100 million, if you had $100 million in the American, I am confident Chip, Tom, Mikey, anybody in the CBS Sports offices could head coach that team, as long as you're not just an absolute dick and like have the players quit on you. Like you would coach your way to the American Championship because you'd have a good enough coaching staff around you to do it. It's like if Mr. Beast does this, Mr. Beast needs to be the head coach too.
Because that's what I thought about in terms of the CSC. Because he runs his own media empire, he would make the legitimate argument that he is using all of this for content, and by doing so, creating value because of his massive audience, that he is compensating the talent. I mean, the guy gives millions of dollars if you can like live in a grocery store for a weekend, or the other challenges of that nature. I'm not going to be able to reference one video or another. Like, could
people watch that?
Could 30 children beat one tennis star in pickleball? There's Tom, I need to send you down. I need to send you down the rabbit hole.
No, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
ECU football games live streamed on the channel. You can make, loose, but you could make arguments in terms of being able to put that money towards actual, content, and that is your name, image, and likeness that is being used for promotion of the sport.
I mean, look, if you can have like mid Grand Prairie Farm Credit Union State, like all of a sudden 4x their marketing budget and just happenstance sign all the players to NIL deals, like this is much more legitimate than that, and you're going to have the views to back it up from
That's what I was thinking.
Do you think he would make the coaching staff dress as pirates? Like how do you because you're going to have to YouTubeify this thing a little bit. Like they're the ECU Pirates. They have to probably coach in pirate gear, right? Like, is he wearing an eye patch when he talks to the ref?
Chuck in the tailgate just hit a home run. I cannot believe I haven't thought of it. He just renames the school to Beast Carolina.
Yes. God, we need to get him on. This is the number one college football pot. Like, I'd pick his brain about this on air.
They'll make us fight to the death.
Yeah, I know. I'm very nervous about where this thing would go.
Strikes me like there's like a Hunger Games vibe going on here.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. But then he also shows up on Halloween and passes out iPhones to students, just like with a truckload of
because that's what kids need, phones to watch me on YouTube.
Already pre-downloaded. Like that U2 album that no one
God that was, and you couldn't take that album off either.
And if we did get him on because he's a true YouTube star, the algo would love us forever.
True, let's do it.
There we go. Mr. Beast, open invitation. We will not participate. We do not agree to participate in your games, but a 15 to 20 minute VOD, absolutely. We'll sign up for that. Just a couple minutes left. We are red-blooded Americans. We are football fans. Who you got Sunday?
Seahawks.
Big?
It could be. Although New England's defense is very good. It won't surprise. It's weird because I do think Seattle's the better team, but it's also I'm picking Sam Darnold in a huge game, and Sam Darnold has played well so far in the postseason. But I don't know. It's scary. If it is a blowout, Seattle wins. If New England wins, it's close.
I think Seattle too, but man, I can't rule out Drake May just playing an insane game. Yeah, out of nowhere. Like I think he's got that kind of ability.
He's also got that turnover in him.
Yeah. Are you Seattle, Chip?
I mean, if Drake May wins the Super Bowl, I think every one of his brothers got a national championship ring. Like 2 of them in basketball, 1 of them in baseball. You know, if he gets to come back, and they always have picked on him. If he gets to come back to the table with a Super Bowl ring, it'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, but doesn't have that ACC title though, Chip. So
I don't know. Hey, he won a Coastal Division title. Mac Brown will point out he did win a Coastal Division title. Mac Brown's been doing a ton of interviews wearing Texas gear to talk about Drake May and how awesome he is. Tom, if you don't know about the Mac Brown petty,
oh, I know.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's been fantastic along the way. I have also found myself rooting for Sam Darnold to not turn into a pumpkin. I was having a conversation, some back and forth with our friend Ryan Abraham. I did not fully wrap my head around how Sam Darnold is beloved by USC fans. Because he doesn't have the Heisman Trophy, right? He doesn't have the national championship. But because he won that Rose Bowl and he won a Pac-12 title, and I'm sorry to just, fire a stray shot out here, but he did it with Clay Helton as the head coach and not a super team around him. And it had been so long since USC had that kind of success. Ryan described him as an all-time USC great. He is the first USC quarterback to even start in a Super Bowl, which is kind of a crazy, which is a crazy factoid. I whether he wins it or not, I just would love if he doesn't, turn into this bust. I would love for him to play well, and for that story of him just as someone who is truly beloved by USC fans to be able to show out on the biggest stage that football has.
You guys know about his grandpa, right?
Tell me.
His great grandpa was like an Olympian, I think national champion, and also the Marlboro Man. Yeah. Like somebody told me this at Elite 11.
True Renaissance man.
Sam Darnold grandfather.
Did he smoke while winning in the Olympics? Was he
badass?
Oh, and his name was Dick Hammer.
Just got like,
no joke.
Is he related to the whole Hammer family, like Army Hammer and all those guys?
I don't know. All right. So, Final Four for USC basketball in 1954. U.S. Olympic volleyball team 1964. Captain with Los Angeles County Fire Department. Was the Marlboro Man and appeared as a firefighter in the TV show Emergency.
Amazing.
Speaking of legends,
you'll never guess how he died.
Lung cancer.
At 69. Yep.
Oh. Hey, he made it at 69.
Tom, you'll appreciate this too, since you're a White Sox fan. I was trying to show the boys the Bo Jackson Sports Century, and I can't find it on YouTube in HD. So if anybody happens to find that in HD, I'll make sure to check the comments on this episode, drop it in there, or hit me on Twitter or whatever, because they were like, this is cool, but like, what's wrong with the TV? And I was like, yeah. Like, it's like not only not HD, it's like the really bad upload quality on YouTube of an episode of something from the 1990s. So
Did you go back to like watch a broadcast from like 10 years ago on YouTube, and you're sitting there like, what the hell? How did we even see this?
We are watching Pro Stars, the old cartoon with Bo, Gretzky, and Michael.
There
which is
go.
Tremendous.
That's culture.
Dude, yeah. They
Solid
love it.
parenting. So yeah, take to your whether you are gathering, at a Super Bowl party or just with your friends and family, just remember to hit them at an opportune time. You guys know what Sam Darnold's granddad's name is? Dick Hammer. And the legend of Dick Hammer will occupy the next 10 minutes.
That's going to be, I would strongly suggest searching in incognito mode if you search by his name, actually, because that's.
No, this is the other piece. Search Sam Darnold grandfather.
Right. Yeah.
Don't search Dick Hammer.
That's what I did.
That's I searched Search Sam Darnold, grandfather, Dick Hammer. Hope everybody enjoys the big game, as they do say over there on this weekend between the Seahawks and the Patriots. Should be a good time. We are going to be back with you on Monday, where among some of the other tasks, we're going to get back into our yearbook phase. And what I mean by that was we had a lot of fun last year, basically on the show, trying to debate what the biggest sort of stories of the season were. You know, if we were to construct a yearbook, if we were building a book, what would the chapters be to tell the story of the 2025 college football season? There's some no-brainers in there. Indiana / Kurt Signet, you know, everything there would be a piece of that, but we want to tell the whole story. So whether it's the top 10, top 12, we'll try to narrow it to something that would be a little bit realistic, for something that would be leather bound for your library. But we want the biggest stories of 2025. We want you to come and hang out and do it with us live. So come and hang out, youtube.com/cover3, Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Do you think Caleb Downs has a relative named Dick?